Attention. It's 7 o'clock, Central Daylight Time. Welcome to Planning and Zoning, August 13th. Call this meeting to order, and we will begin by saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We were unable to get the minutes for this meeting, so we'll have to take care of that next time. So we'll skip past that in the agenda. Is there any ex parte, that's as fancy a word as I can do today, ex parte communication in regard to any of the current cases that we need to just bring to the table? As for myself, and I know all of you received a letter from Polsonelli regarding the regulation changes of solar. We received a letter from Heartland regarding the regulations in solar. I received a forwarded email from Mr. Mark Briggs with some forwarding another email from Heartland for some clarification on some statements that were made during the public hearing. And that information was information that we already had, but he wanted to make sure that it was in my hands. I have exchanged emails with Mr. Fisher regarding trying to prepare for this meeting, because remembering 18 months worth of details to try and get them ready for this meeting is a chore for my 57-year-old mind. And he is the only person on this committee that I spoke to regarding current issues. I talk to Darren all the time because I have procedural questions. Can we do this? Is we going to do that? Things like that. That's it for me. And again, this is just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Anybody else, anything to add? If you didn't receive the same emails I did as far as those two public emails. Oh, and we all received a communication from Mr. Burton regarding some other things in the solar tonight that we'll talk about a little later. Anything else? If not, we will move on to new business. The new business for tonight is CUP 24-03, SEK, I assume that's Southeast Kansas. SEK Co-op Incorporated regarding their CUP for a propane storage depot. If we could begin with, it's been so long since we had normal business, I forgot the procedure. Darren, if you could go ahead and give us the lowdown, the staff report on this.
Case CUP 24-03. I misprinted the deal and put 04, but it's case 03. It's a consideration of a 209 foot by 209 foot area for propane bulk storage, commonly addressed as 11210 Kansas Highway 152, Lacing, Kansas. Adjoining properties are zoned agricultural, countryside, and industrial. The subject property is currently zoned as agricultural. The property is fronted along Kansas Highway 152, utilizing a singular ingress and egress. The application for the conditional use permit is to permit the applicant's desire to be authorized to operate a propane bulk storage. All necessary notifications to surrounding landowners has been properly made by the United States Postal Service, and publication of notice of hearing in the official county newspaper. This is, I just put in there the regulation that is in the zoning regulations for storage of LP gas, ammonia, ammonia nitrate, chlorine, and anhydrous ammonia. A conditional use permit is required for bulk storage of these substances in compliance with the requirements of this section. Applicants shall show that all federal and state statutes are met and shall meet any additional requirements of the Linn County Rural Fire Coordinator. Staff findings. The use does fit the character of the neighborhood as all nearby properties are agricultural. The zoning of nearby properties are agricultural and industrial. The property is suitable for proposed use. The proposed use does not appear to detrimentally affect nearby properties. Property will remain as currently zoned as agricultural and has been used for farming. With proper conditions, the use will not detrimentally affect the public health, safety, and welfare and would benefit public by providing a boost in local economy. The requested conditional use permit conforms to the Linn County current comprehensive plan. Staff does recommend approval of this conditional use permit with recommendations and finding from Golden versus the City of Overland Park. Must comply with all state and federal regulations. Permits be kept on file with the Linn County Planning and Zoning Office. Per the Kansas Fire Marshal and Linn County Fire Chief, a fence is not required around the property as long as the valves are secured so that they are not tampered with. They have met all requirements per the state and Linn County Fire Coordinator and does meet the National Fire Code, NFPA 58, Article 6. Staff has received one inquiry about the property, not for or against, but concerned about the entrance location due to the intersection of Kansas Highway 7 and Kansas Highway 152. Staff explained that the entrance would be up to KDOT due to it being a state highway. There was another comment made that I put in your packets, and it was pretty much similar to the one about the highway.
All right, any questions for Darren?
And I did put the state permit in your guys' packets.
You mentioned that the egress there's already egress at 152, and so that decision has been made, or there may be additional.
So there's a driveway to the house that sits there. This will be to the west of the house. So I would imagine that they will apply with the state for another entrance.
Any other questions for Darren? If not, is there someone representing the project who could come and speak to us and tell us about details? Come on up to the podium, tell us who you are, and fill us in on what you're up to.
Okay. I'm David Miller, work for SEK Co-op. It's a little grain co-op down at Yates Center, Kansas. We're in the propane business. We're needing to expand. We're gathering more and more customers up in this area, all up and down the eastern part of Kansas. We located this property and it's ideal for what we need. We're getting a 18,000 gallon skid tank. It's a bulk storage tank on a big metal skid. It's self-contained. It has the pump and everything all on it. And we have put in application with the state of Kansas, KDOT, to get a entrance up there off of 152. And it's got to be a certain setback off of the intersection of 7 and 152. So far, they haven't marked it or anything. So we're not sure exactly where it's going to go in, but it'll be right there pretty much on the crest of that hill, with the 152. So we've already made application with the fire marshal's office, state of Kansas. They've approved our site plan. So we're just waiting to get it zoned in the KDOT so we can continue on with it. So
It's propane, the only thing that you're
Yes, it's just propane. Yeah, we only need an acre.
No plans for hydros.
No. All that's down at the main office. So this is just strictly LP gas for delivery. It's for our trucks to come in and fill and then continue on with their delivery routes, around to the residential houses. So no gasoline, no diesel fuel. No, it's just going to be the tanks sitting there. That's it.
Is there a recommendation for safe distance?
It's got to be 1,000 feet.
There's a structure there that's proposed just to the east of you there.
To the east of us.
Yes, that's on the north side. So that property that.
Well, the Terry Griffin, the landowner, lives there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you'd be at least 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
Question, just to show the closest house to the third. Which is 17.
Mm-hmm.
I measured it's only 600.
Which house is that now?
That's the house to the north east. So how did you?
That would be Terry's house.
Or one northeast of. You sketched out.
Yeah, that's Terry's house. That's over 1,000 foot. You know where the KDOT has their little parking lot there?
Yeah,
We're right next to it.
It's just a
Okay.
third of the line. 17 feet. I hope it's not 17. You represent this as being third of the line. Quarter of the line from the south. And then, auto service, another quarter. All those distances. Half of
Those are just approximate.
gotta be 1,000 feet home, $18,000, 18,000 gallon tank. $700. You go back and measure them. None of those homes. I take that back. Home to the northwest. Across the highway, it's 1,300 feet. The home to the northeast is 681 feet. The home to the south is 559 feet. And the business is 570 feet. So if I'm off 40%, it's still not 1,000 feet.
I didn't measure it exactly. I just eyeballed it.
Okay.
But it comes in with approval from the state fire marshal's office.
So,
So they approved the distances.
so they can overrule the 1,000 feet. Who comes up with the 1,000 foot rule?
That's just kind of a base to go by. A lot of bulk plants are set in not in residential areas, but industrial areas, and there's less distance from the tank to the structures. It's just kind of a personal deal with us, around 1,000 feet. I mean,
What's the blowout radius? If that tank were to just rupture, what's the fallout area? Is it 1,500 feet, 1,200 feet?
it depends on which way the winds are blowing. There's safety devices on top of it called relief valves.
Correct.
And when it goes off, it spews up into the air, and the wind direction will take it, whichever the way the winds are blowing.
Say the wind is dead calm, truck drivers are loading, catastrophic failure with the truck, everything goes up.
There's emergency shut-offs to
Everything explodes. What happens? Worst case scenario. I want to know, end of the world, worst case scenario. They got their grandkids out playing in the yard.
That's why there's distances involved out
Correct,
there.
but
You keep it.
how far would that explosion radius go out? If there was no wind,
It depends on what's in the tank
max
and
capacity.
what's in the. I'd hate to say. Uh,
Could it exceed 1,000 feet?
no, I don't think it could. Not even worst case scenario. I don't think it'd
I mean, we're, you know, help
Yeah.
us help you. So
I don't know that it would get to Terry's house, because when it goes up, it goes up in the air. It's not spread out onto the ground.
well, your explosion is going to go up and out.
Right, yeah,
Right. That's what
Yeah.
I'm concerned about.
yeah.
Shrapnel, flying, debris, that kind of stuff. We have to
That
take in
would
these
be-
kind of considerations.
That would be really, really catastrophic to have that happen. Most of the fires on propane bulk plants are truck induced, the delivery trucks. The tanks have the relief valves on top, and then they have heat shut off valves on, where if there is a fire around there, it mills through and snaps the valve shut. It's all plumbed with Schedule 80 plumbing, the thick pipe.
Okay.
The tank is, thick, so it's, can't really imagine a scenario like that.
Okay.
People's hit them with trucks and tractors and mowers and stuff, and I just can't imagine a situation that something like that would happen.
You still have to plan for the worst.
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't matter what you're doing. You always have to make sure you got your
yes,
safety measures in place for a
Right.
worst case scenario. A
Yeah.
one in a lifetime
yeah.
act of God.
The tank's built to all the standards of today, the fire marshal's office, the National Propane Association's, standards. ASME tanks are built to withstand that. They're built round for a purpose,
Correct.
because they have more structural strength that way than a square one or a rectangular one. I don't see that happening. I suppose there is a scenario where a airplane or something could fall down and cause something like that, but that'd be a bad day.
Be a bad day. But
Bad day.
you have to understand
Yeah.
though that you can't go on hopes and dreams that
Right.
we don't
Yeah.
plan on this thing ever blowing
Yeah.
up, and you don't take into
There's-
account that if this thing explodes at max capacity, there's a truck there and he's got leftover gas left over in his
Yeah.
trailer. There's a lot.
Well, the trucks have the same safety
Correct.
features that the bulk plants do. The heat deals where they melt and then they snap everything shut. If a tank does rupture and there's a fire, why the relief valves are releasing the gas out top
Correct.
along with the truck. And then if there's a fire, then it's on top of it.
Correct.
Yeah. Grass and weeds are maintained around the tank, so there's no fuel
What's your perimeter?
outside.
What's the perimeter?
The whole acre that we're going to use will be
It's-
mowed.
it'll be
Yes,
mowed.
it'll be mowed, maintained. Yeah, it's not going to be grass and weeds or anything.
No grass in
There'll
a
be
propane tank.
No, that's part of
Gravel.
the inspections that we go through. There'll be rock clear underneath the propane tank, and there will be a driveway clear around it for the trucks to circle around it. And then part of our responsibilities maintaining it is keep the weeds from growing up around the rocks. So it's sprayed or weed eated or maintained like that.
Okay.
Is that home is kind of catty corner to it? Does
Uh-huh.
they own the land? Are you leasing that from them?
Yes, Terry Griffin owns the land.
I got you. So the closest house to it is the guy leasing the land.
Yeah.
No, actually, the one to the south's a little closer.
And see, it's down,
Across the road.
Okay,
The one that's on the south side of
I got you.
152. Do you know when have you talked to the state when they're going to issue?
no, I've been in contact, called him twice this week so far, no return call. So, but he's got a setback that he's allowed to put the driveway from the intersection,
Okay.
and he didn't know it. And he's
So you're
supposed
hoping to have your entrance on,
to be
Highway
more than likely on the
152.
east side of the property.
okay.
Yeah.
So you want to be on, coming in and off of Highway 152,
Yes.
not off of 7.
No, because the state has their little parking lot deal there
Correct.
on.
So you're trying to be as close to the state,
No, probably I'd like to be up on top of the hill.
about halfway.
Well, halfway or over on the east side of our property line that we're going to lease. And that way it's up there on the hill. Drivers coming in and out of our bulk plant have good vision both ways.
So you'll be even closer to Terry's house, correct?
Well, yeah, 100, 200 feet. I mean, yeah, it'll be closer to the 209 foot from the state. Their little parking lot, it'll be closer to him.
So you'd be even less than,
Yeah, so I measured it to the middle of the 209 by 209.
Yep.
So where the tank is from there.
Tank will be located pretty much in the center of that property. And that way we'll be able to have a circle drive to get the trucks around.
See your circle drive there.
I'm assuming it's gonna look a lot like the property there on the corner of town with, is it Heartland? No, it's not Farrell.
Ferro gas.
Yeah, right there at 7 and 850th. I'm just looking at it on Google Maps here, trying to get my head around the distances a little bit.
Check me on the distances there. Elizabeth, you heard?
One related question I would have, and again, I just was looking at the feral gas, was that it is a fenced property and it does have concrete barriers around the tank itself. As far as I understand, there was no commitment or requirement for you all to have either a fence or any kind of
We will fence.
physical barrier.
We will fence where the valves in the pump are and the hoses. That'll be enclosed inside of a chain link fence.
Okay,
As for the whole property,
right.
no. The barriers, you need to have them if you've got public access, but there's not supposed to be any public access to this. There'll probably be a gate of some sort out there on the entrance to keep the public from coming in there and turning around or just parked in there.
You mean just a gate across the
Yeah,
road
just a
without
grate across the
connecting
driveway.
so you have it to where transports can get off of the road
Yes.
to get the
Yes.
gate open?
It'll be a setback type of gate
Say, okay,
where they can get
Have
off the
100
road.
setback
Yeah.
or something.
We don't want anybody hitting them.
correct.
I mean, one of my concerns with driving and barriers is, and I don't even know what people do, but that's been kind of a park and ride. That corner right there where the two highways come together, people just park their personal cars there, and I assume they're doing some sort of share riding there. And that property is not part of the plan.
No.
It would be people coming in and out right there in close proximity to your facility.
Yeah.
And so I'm
There will be,
inclined to want to have some sort of physical barrier keeping,
yes.
2 a.m., one too many, north is south and south is north, and you find yourself, head first into your valve assembly.
Right.
Um,
I know what you're talking about. There's an entrance there, and I think the farmer that mows the hay accesses that from that area right there. Where he turns in off of the KDOT's little parking lot, and I think he comes right up into the farm or the hay meadow.
Yeah, I honestly just don't know. I just
Yeah.
I'm living here, for 10, 11 years and driving by there.
Yeah.
There's a collection of people's personal cars there at different points in time.
Yeah.
And my presumption, just reading between the lines, was that they were commuting, sharing a ride or something, because I've done that myself, parked up at the Methodist Church in Beagle for years and sharing a ride.
Yeah.
Fire department also uses it for an LZ zone for a helicopter.
Okay,
So right on the west side, so it'd be on the west side of 7, north side of Highway 152. That's the LZ zone for that area for Life Flight for Linn County. So they have the one out at the power plant, they have the one there, and they got several spots, but that is their primary spot is to load out. So a lot of times they'll have first responders park in that commuter KDOT parking lot area, and the helicopter will land directly on the west side of
Yeah.
7 Highway. So
I pulled in there to talk on the cell phone and got people in there napping, so.
yeah.
Yeah, there'll have to be some kind of a barricade or a gate put in there to keep people so they don't come in on the side of us. Yeah, because chain link fence don't stop a car,
No.
so.
Will it be illuminated at night?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
dawn light.
there's got to be a safety light there, a pole light or a security light of some sort. So yeah, it'll be lit up, dusk to dawn deal. Yep. That's part of the regulations for the fire marshal's office. Lights up the tank and surrounding areas. So, if somebody's up there messing around, why, somebody might be able to see them.
Correct.
So, yep. There is a dusk to dawn light.
And Dave, Joe and I were looking at his phone, trying to find the measurements, and it was about
500, 540, 550.
from the property owner's home.
Okay.
So I'd be off the northwest corner of the house.
I would like, before we make a
Northeast,
decision, to
northeast.
get an accurate measurement.
Yeah, I agree.
And to the other property.
I was fudging in the other direction, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But it's,
I have to go on a worst case scenario. It's no different. It's like a loaded gas truck versus an empty gas tanker. An empty one's more dangerous because of the vapors of it.
I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, that the propane business in general has an excellent safety record. If you look around the country, the rural areas, propane tanks are sitting behind almost every house. So that gives us a pretty good idea of the safety of the stuff we're working.
This is a brand new unit.
I wasn't in the propane business.
But you were in the-
natural gas business.
correct. So is there anything about that you're hearing tonight that would be a concern to you?
If lightning hit it, it would be a concern. How's that feel?
No, I would agree. You want to be more than 1,000 feet away, but
We picked this
Looking at
site
it,
because it was out in the open.
yeah,
Yeah. Lots of room all around it.
Well, Pleasanton's got one sitting just across the road from Fabcon. And there's never been any incidents, I don't believe, there of any kind. We've got a pretty good history with safety on this, I have to say. Very seldom do you hear of any problem.
Yeah. More times than not, there's problems with homes, residential homes.
Exactly.
The bulk plants.
Some of them are not plumbed correctly, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that you folks have people to go in and inspect the plants.
That's me.
All this has to be done. If they're not right, they have to be red tagged.
Yep.
Someone comes in and fixes it. So.
Yep. This is a brand new unit. They just built it. So everything is brand spanking new on it, built to all the latest codes. So it's not an old tank we're moving in.
all right. Is there any other questions for this gentleman? And so where do you feel we stand? You
I would like to get an accurate.
precise measurements?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns beyond getting specific measurements to the residences in the area?
I think
maybe a more detailed explanation of the barrier fencing.
Okay. Sorry, I lost my spot.
How big would the fenced in area be?
It'll be about 15 feet square at the end of the tank where the pump's at and the valves. And the electric switches and everything will be inside of that.
Does that answer your question, David, or would you like
Yeah.
a drawing?
That answers my question.
Okay. So I think the way we can proceed is to, if we could table this evening, and if you would be so kind as to get, measured walked distances, with the precise measurements to the residences, which would give us opportunity to at least confirm the safety gap.
The correct measurements.
So other than that, other than the ambiguity with the distances to the house, I'm not anticipating any issues.
Okay.
But if we could just get those numbers back to Darren,
Okay.
and then at our next meeting, we should be able to revisit this quickly and get you on your way.
Okay.
So this is tabled until our next meeting in September. And if you can just return those measurements to Darren, we'll be.
Yeah, I can get all that to
All
Darren.
right. Thank you very much for your
All
time.
right. Thank you.
Appreciate you answering our questions. All right, that closes that up. Now we have, we got some housekeeping to do and some decisions to make. And then we will move forward. We'll veer left or veer right. So I'm speaking mainly to you all in the committee here. We've received a couple letters from lawyers. One of them our lawyer, one of them other lawyers. And as I assume if you checked your email, Mr. Harding is advising us to not take any action on the solar regulations, which would be the next agenda item tonight. I'll just read for the sake of the record what this says. At this time, the moratorium is still in place. This is from Burton Harding to the Planning and Zoning Committee. At this time, the moratorium is in place until December, so there's no immediate imperative to make changes or recommendations immediately. It is my advice that the Planning and Zoning, at least for now, not take any action and risk exacerbating any issues that might exist. This can be revisited in the near future, but since it would not prejudice the county to refrain from action at this time, and that would be my advice. So with that in mind, it was before letters flew around, it was my understanding that the agenda for tonight and the solar regulations would be to discuss the hearing and our impressions on the hearing, and to dive headlong into findings, which is the final step for us to pass the already approved motion for prohibition on commercial and utility solar. The final step for us is the findings, which is the why we decided what we did. That tacked on to the new regulations would be sent on to the county commissioners. That's the next step for a motion that's already passed. With current events and current advice, we've been advised not to make a decision. In my conversations in my own head, which is a frightening place to be, and with Darren, we have some options. This is advice. We could proceed according to plan with discussion of the findings and a potential vote on the findings if we can reach a point where these findings are at a place that we think they're solid enough to pass on. A middle of the road plan would be to take Mr. Harding's advice and continue on with the discussion, drive the findings home, have the discussion, do everything but the vote. And the vote would simply be postponed I hope till the next meeting. That's kind of middle of the road plan. The other end of the spectrum would be that we would be done for the evening and we would take the whole thing up at a later date. So my job is to run the meeting. Your job is to hold me accountable. I hope I say that every meeting. This is by no means me telling anybody what to do. Those are the options as I see them, given the advice that we have received. You've all read the same thing that I've read. My personal opinion would be the middle of the road approach, simply because that would accomplish the bulk work that is actually the hardest part. But then we would be put into a place where we can sleep on it. And all the stuff that we tried to remember in one night, we should be able to have pretty quick resolution of questions in the next meeting. But that does cause another month's delay. If we were to drive it home tonight and continue with a vote tonight, that needs to be a tight and tidy document to pass on to the commissioners. So I'm just trying to lay out the options for us and help us direct traffic. And let's talk about it.
Personally, I would like to postpone the vote, but go over our findings tonight. That way we can get them at least working on them, so we don't have to spend the whole night next month going over this. Have some time to sleep on it and just think about it.
I don't appreciate the scare tactics that are trying to be imposed upon us.
Understood?
That are based on unfounded truths or unfounded allegations that have no truth behind them. And I see no risk in us. That being said, we aren't making a final decision. We're making a recommendation to the county commissioners.
Right.
I just assume knock this out, get it done. Let the county commissioners decide if they want to deal with the legal side of it and make a decision, or if they want to postpone. Let's do our job, put it back on them, let them make the decision on how they want to proceed legally.
I agree with Daniel. I took the words right out of my mouth, but we've kicked the can down the road.
It's not our final decision. We just have to put it together.
We are an advisory board,
That's right.
so that's what we are doing. And it comes down to our elected commissioners.
Take our advice, or they can't.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, I hear you, I understand. Play the devil's advocate for a minute. Last time we did this, Mr. Kopp was still on the dole. We had him as a consultant. And it was written by a lawyer, as a lawyer. And we basically signed on the dotted line and passed it on. I just put that out there because we're not lawyers. We can only do the best we can. We're volunteers. But the findings are that's where the rubber meets the road as far as our decision is concerned. And so I'm not saying we got to get it perfect every time. I'm just throwing out discussion material so that you know some of the historical context. So
Yeah, so you've got a point there, but that's not going to change. Next month, we're going to be sitting here trying to come up with the findings. Like you said, we've got to do what we can do. Unelected officials, we make a recommendation to the county commissioners. It's their decision. This letter is full of unfounded situation. It's a political situation we should not be in the middle of. We shouldn't be intimidated by their hired gun trying to tell us what to do in our county. We've done everything. We haven't done anything wrong. We've got a job to do. we must do that job without showing favoritism to anyone. I think if you stall this, you are showing favoritism, and
You're keeping the door open.
yeah, and you're showing that we are gonna be intimidated by a situation like this, by some hired gun coming in, telling us we're all wrong.
I think they're gonna send us another letter next month and just keep on pushing it down the road.
I think if we give them that presumption that they are going to see this from their office, hey, they've backed this up 30 days. We now have a crack in the foundation.
Sure.
And I'm just concerned that if they see that opportunity, what's their next tactic going to be?
So this,
So you're nodding.
I just, and I'm not trying to get anybody against each other.
No, we need to have this conversation. So again,
I definitely see your points, but the legal counsel that we have now has asked us to wait, so that gives me pause. But I do see your points.
Yeah. What do you think? You're awfully quiet.
Well, been at this way too long. You know, we've heard the residents speak. And I think there was a pretty good majority, the way they spoke. Seen very few that were in favor of it. And if I look back, I think most of them were landowners living out of town. They aren't living here or anything like that. They're paying taxes, which I appreciate. But, I think we've heard the citizens talk and that, and I think we need to get this done and get it sent to the commissioners and be done with it.
let's do what's right. Let the chips fall where they may. We're not lawyers. Let's do the best we can, putting these findings together. Get it in the county commissioner's hands.
You wonder how they'll line up a whole bunch of lawyers.
If it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
all right.
And I feel like we need to move forward with the support of the county today. Not keep delaying this, not trying to rush it, and definitely not trying to persuade
We still may not finish.
anybody.
Even
But
if we go down that road.
I can see Pulcinelli looking at this tomorrow and they go, sweet, we just bought ourselves 30 more days. What can we do with our money and our resources in 30 days that Linn County can't? And I'm not an attorney and I'm not here to speak for an attorney, but I can just see their little minds spinning tomorrow that they just were awarded 30 days by us by their scare tactic.
All right.
So can I move that we go forward with the findings and the vote tonight? Is that proper?
You can.
I move we go forward with developing our findings, send those to the county commissioners tonight.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we proceed with the standard meeting as scheduled. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We will continue as planned. So, another point of order. This is a discussion amongst the Planning and Zoning Committee to follow up on the public hearing and to reach a consensus on the findings in regard to the proposed regulation change for commercial solar conversion systems. We will not be entertaining public comment during this conversation. This is strictly to help us arrive at the detailed decision. So that's just a point of order. As we move forward, I have my own notes. I made copies of them. In no way, I really feel like I'm dancing on a razor blade because I did not want to start from scratch this evening, but I don't want to just impose my will by any means. My vote is the same as your vote. But I do have detailed notes that you are welcome to, if you want them. If anyone else has notes that they would like everyone else to have, we can print them and copy them out, if we want. These are my personal interpretations of the way things might be. Trying to follow the pattern I saw in other regulations, and trying to give us a starting place. Does anyone else have notes that they want to share with the rest of the committee? So this is just my brain, but I know you just saw it for the first time. Skim through it and then we can talk.
Mr. Chairman, just want to point out, right after we got done with that vote, my phone buzzed and I got a text message. And before anyone files a core request, it was my wife texting me. So it was absolutely nothing to do with that vote. Just wanted to make that completely clear. So there's no ambiguity there.
Thank you.
What'd she say?
Told me she loved me.
I doubt that.
Mr. Chairman. Paul, can I call you Paul?
You can call me whatever you want.
I would just, in going through this, I think the highlight for the public forum, the bullet, it wasn't a direct result of the commissioners. It was after we got into the ad hoc committee and the reports went back to the commissioners. I'm just not sure that that's in order. I don't know if that means anything or not. Third bullet point, public forum held on March 4th to allow public feedback. That happened after several ad hoc committee meetings and feedback to the county commissioners. I think Darren at that time came up with the idea for the forum.
So you're just saying it should be placed?
You either just eliminate it because you've got it, another bullet point below ad hoc.
Oh, and the inset bullet point.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I would just eliminate that.
Yeah, I was attempting to list how the county commissioners responded when they were addressed by the public as to the lack of transparency regarding this process. And
Yeah.
those three bullet points were saying these were the three things they did.
I understand where you're coming from.
And then everything else was addressing the order that they happened in.
Okay, so this, okay, I'm good with it then.
Sorry for the radio silence, everyone. Procedurally, I could not disseminate these at the time. So,
Got any elevator music?
oh, I've been known to sing okay. Nice part about a big silent spot in the audio is when you go back and fast forward it on YouTube, the meeting's going to be a whole lot shorter than it was the first time. Because that's how my wife is going to listen to it.
Okay, so are you saying under your findings, page with findings, that's our findings? Or do we submit this whole thing?
I mean, the whole thing would be a findings document. Under the heading of findings, those are our specific arguments as to why we believe the prohibition is in order. And again, this is mostly from my memory and going back through my own notes. This is a discussion amongst all of us. Please add to it, strike from it.
In other words, what are we missing here?
More detail is much better than not enough. And one other thing I wanted to remind us of too is, if you recall back during our workshop with Mr. Kopp, Jim Kopp, regarding planning and zoning and the different hats we wear, public opinion is weighed differently in regard to setting regulations than it is in regard to enforcing regulations. When we're enforcing, when a CUP comes through and the public opinion is one way, we are, with our judicial hat on, interpreting the law that already exists. When we are writing new or revising regulations, as we are here, and therefore, sorry, back to the CUP, the public opinion, unfortunately, doesn't count for much in regard to judicial interpretation of an existing regulation. My understanding is from our instruction with Mr. Kopp that public opinion can carry more weight. It doesn't carry all the weight, but it can carry more weight than it does during the CUP process in regard to how we interpret, what we do. So there is a subtle difference, but I think it's important to point out because public opinion has been a large part of the discussion in this, and just need to make sure we have the right hat on as we read through this.
Do we have some of our findings listed that we could jot down here and look at?
These came all from my own personal notes. If you have yours, or if anyone else has stuff they want to bring out, this is what the conversation is for. Again, this is not my deal. I just wanted to prime the pump. So there's nothing official and there's nothing collective that we have as far as the findings are concerned.
Okay.
Elizabeth, you see anything we're missing?
I think it touches on most of the things. Let's see. Um, I want to emphasize the effect of wildlife. That's a 8,000 or 4,000 acres is a very large chunk of area that wildlife couldn't access. And depending on what kind of fencing would be allowed, it could completely restrict it or partially restrict it. And it might have we've been told it would have a detrimental effect to the waterfowl, which, given that the wildlife refuge is in the area that was proposed, not proposed, but like suggested. I think that should be mentioned at the very least.
Okay, where would you put that in? And we have the bullet point that says one of the unmeasurable unknowns is what effect this will have on nearby state and federal waterfowl game preserves. Would you like that statement to be elaborated on? Or
Yeah, maybe elaborate on it, and then trying to remember in the comprehensive plan what part was specifically mentioning preserving natural beauty, or was it just kind of all throughout? I wasn't there for the initial writing.
well, it's in the documents. The PDF is in the documents. So if we want additional detail with a reference to the comprehensive plan,
Either way, I know it is mentioned many times in the comprehensive plan that we're trying to preserve the natural beauty and the aesthetic of Linn County as it is. I think that should be highlighted somewhere.
I think
It is mentioned, but
goal D
yeah,
in the findings, protect and enhance the rural character, manage and minimize adverse effect of intrusive developments on land use. Yeah, that's referencing right back to the comprehensive plan. I think that in that second one, manage and minimize adverse effects on intrusive developments and land use, that correlates right back to the refuge to me and wildlife.
yeah. I think we need one more point, because sometimes rural character could be considered just farmland, and we want to emphasize that it's not just detrimental to the farmland; it is detrimental to
Wildlife
the
preserve.
wildlife and our national refuge, and migration patterns, and endangered species.
Correct.
I'm not sure the exact wording I want to use, but
okay, I guess I'm trying to figure out where to put it, whether it should go under the general bullet point that said what effect what the effect will be on nearby state and federal waterfowl, or additional comment under goal D.
I want to say more to goal D, because the other general statement you're talking about unknowns, the possibility. We've been told a few times by the Audubon Society that the solar farms would be present a risk. I think they would be a decent reference, if not an expert one.
So,
I think that should be more in the knowns than the unknowns. While it can be mitigated, I don't think it can ever be entirely dismissed.
um, so, so, subject. Potential adverse effects. Game. Are they preserves or reserves?
Is it a
Called reserve in the plan. Which constitute Okay, is this an accurate statement? I had a sentence after goal B, objective 2, that says this would include concerns from subject matter experts as to the potential adverse effects on the game reserve, which constitute a significant aspect of the county's character and economy. I should say county's rural character and economy. Is that an accurate statement?
I like it.
Okay. That's included in goal D, objective 2 at the end of the paragraph. Another question I had as to how to present it was the public meetings, and we had some actual numbers from the first one, and we had the written statements from the second. I tried to just present the information that I was aware of. Does that present it in the way that you received it? I mean, am I echoing?
The public meeting,
Accurate.
underneath the public meetings.
Yeah. Did I write it in such a way as
That's how
you would agree with as far as what you thought transpired, what the result was, and what you walked away with as far as your impressions were concerned? And is it based on facts? It's just I read every single written response this time. And one thing that stood out to me in a significant way was that as far as filling out a form and creating a response, every single response, as far as I could tell, from folks that were opposed to the solar farms, was a unique answer. It was not a copied answer. It did not come from a form. Some of them were 2 pages long that bore an impression on me that all 200 and some odd folks that sat down at a computer or a phone or a tablet took the time
To lay out the
to
work.
write something. Some of them were a word, some of them were 2 pages, but I looked at every single one. As far as I could tell, every single one was a unique response, and that caught my attention. There were a lot of form responses in the other responses that were all the same, and I just felt like that meant something as I was reading through those responses and just trying to walk away with a particular sense of what the public wanted and why. Anyway, I didn't at all try and write that down, but that struck me.
You know, under goal B, economic growth and prosperity. The fourth objective in the comprehensive plan may apply also. And that fourth objective is maximize economic impact, heritage tourism, and outdoor recreation. Certainly, if you start messing with the wildlife, it could hurt outdoor recreation.
So you would like to see
So I would, under the goal B,
right, reference objective 4.
objective number 4, which is maximize the economic impact and heritage tourism and outdoor recreation.
This is almost as exciting as watching golf, folks. Some of you might. All right, objective 4, I copied and says maximize the economic impact of heritage tourism and outdoor recreation. And so what are you all thinking is our finding in regard to economic growth objective 4, how would you like that worded? Is it a similar point to what we added for goal D, objective 2, in regard to impacting the,
I mean, it certainly shares points. I'm not sure. Wording it.
I think you could just say it does not support objective 4.
Simple.
Yeah,
I mean, don't overcomplicate it.
you have several historic sites around there, right around the area, and then plus all the outdoor recreation for hunting, fishing, and so forth.
Hiking, fishing.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
all right, I just wrote development of commercial SECS would hinder and not support objective 4.
Is it fair to say that we do not believe it's in the best interest of Linn County, which is a agricultural based economy, to give up crop producing land to foreign owned companies that are not going to be using it for agricultural reasons?
I like that.
Okay, again, just to play the devil's advocate, I'm not, for the sake of discussion, does making the statement about being foreign owned have substantive bearing on the impact of the statement that you want to make?
It absolutely does for me.
It does to me.
Okay.
Because we don't have an American company coming in here wanting to do this.
It does to me too, but I think we've got to stick to the comprehensive plan and point it back to the comprehensive plan.
Well,
We're going to talk about that. I know what you're saying. Personally, I agree with that. I don't know that it's effective as pointing back to the plan. Yeah.
I guess just in trying to look at this from, outside perspective, does the presence of the solar farm itself bear enough weight in the argument that you want to make. My concern is just the categorizing of certain groups, maybe an unnecessary point to make. You know, this should be tight and minimalistic. Tight, complete, but minimalistic. Does that make sense?
I understand completely what you're saying.
So
And I think really what it boils down to is trying to be politically correct. And I think
it
the
may be,
actual voice of America has been stifled by political correctness. And if more people would just say what they really mean, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in.
it's fine. Again, I'm just,
Yeah, I
Enough with the-
understand what you're saying.
Enough with the
But
BS.
I'm tired of
Political
being shut
correctness.
down for being an American and supporting America.
I don't think it hurts.
So
Like we do.
I get what you're saying completely. I'm just,
Like I say, we're not lawyers. We don't have to write it like.
okay. So now, say what you said again. Where in the document do you think, and is there a consensus that, as far as the statement is concerned?
I'm fine with it.
Just,
I'm okay with it, but again, I'm the advocate here, you know, if it was all red, white, and blue, all American, I still don't think we would be recommending.
No, that's not what I meant. So
Huh?
that's not what I meant by if it was an American company, I would support it.
Right.
yeah.
It goes against the consensus of what the
So
county stands for.
even if you remove foreign-owned company from what I said, I think the point is still valid. We're a rural agricultural-based
Right.
economic community.
Yep.
And it's not in the best interest of the county. And I think that goes with the comprehensive plan to remove mass amount of crop producing acreage from the economy.
Yep.
And convert it to non-crop producing land,
I agree.
non-agricultural.
100%.
But I'm going on record saying foreign companies.
I support you.
I think first week. But they didn't want to listen.
okay, so if I add under goal B, number 3, a new paragraph that reads, as a rural agriculture-based economy, removing large amounts of acreage from the economy that's a little redundant, contradict the economic development intentions as outlined in the comprehensive plan. Um, from production.
Yeah, in the comprehensive plan, it says promoting agricultural uses and preserving the rural character of the county. So I'd say it completely goes against promoting agricultural uses.
Shoot. Lost the comprehensive
That was my cousin sending me photos. I didn't look at him, I'm not sure.
Did you, I'm not finding, I'm just searching for the word promoting. Can you
Yeah,
give me a better reference to search in the document?
yep. It is page 11, priority themes, balancing rural character and growth.
Was that again, page 11?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is this an image scheme? So, sorry, it's taking me a the way I left this was number 3, as a rural agriculture-based economy, removing large amounts of acreage from production contradict the economic development intentions as outlined in the Linn County Comprehensive Plan. See priority themes, page 11. I wanted to put an exact quote there, but it's not. Let me select the text. I don't know if that's an image copy.
I think that meets my intent. Are we just looking for as many as we can to relate it back to this? 'Cause I got another one here if we want that.
Um, Yeah, I mean, anything that
Like you said, the more the better, right?
specific factual details are the most important thing.
Okay. Under objective 4B 4.5, it says encourage beautification along highway corridors.
I had the same thing. I was right behind you on that.
Okay.
So I think you put that under B, objective 4. And you put it within that sentence, but it's a specific objective, 4.5, page 24.
So under objective 4, which is number 2, under goal B, 2A, objective 4.5, quote, encourage beautification along highway corridors, end quote. The proximity of proposed SECS would include this corridor and would not be in line with this stated objective.
Elizabeth, are you looking at the comprehensive plan?
I am, yeah. I'm
On,
in, I'm in goal D.
what page am I on? On page 34, I think this just, if we're looking for some more areas to tie back to what you're saying about the refuge and stuff, it identifies the environmental sensitive areas with a map. And then it talks about maintain habitat, open space, wildlife corridors.
And much of the proposed area is very close to
Yeah.
the environmentally.
Yeah, the whole area is. It's all in the hatched area.
Yep.
So we could tie that back to that if we wanted to.
Yeah, yes. Um, see. County Comprehensive Plan. All right, for the sake of not letting that paragraph get too bulky, I'm going to move that down to a 2A for our new sentence. Says, this would include concerns from subject matter experts as to the potential adverse effects on the game reserve, which constitute a significant aspect of the county's rural character and economy. See Linn County Comprehensive Plan, page 34, for discussion regarding the game reserve.
Page 35, D 1.2. Promote the use of conservation easements and transfer of development right programs to preserve existing rural landscapes. Are there any agricultural or historic structures over in that area that you guys are aware of?
There's the John Brown house.
Yeah, that's right.
On top of
John
the hill.
Brown House. So D 1.5, page 35. Take inventory of historic and agricultural structures and assess incentives for rehabilitation. There's something in there about that.
Okay, you're ahead of me a little bit.
I know.
So
Back to the other one.
D1.2 from objective 1, promote the use of conservation easements and transfer development rights programs to preserve existing rural landscapes. Two.
And also the map on 34 designates most of the area to the south of Trading Post and the highway there as either flood zone or historic. That whole chunk in there.
That whole chunk in there, south of 52.
So the last thing I got was the statement about landscapes. My word, what just happened? D1, that was from Objective 1, D1, 2, promote the conservation of easements and transfer development rights.
Programs.
Provides programs to preserve existing rural landscapes.
Correct.
And I just said development of commercial SCCS does not support this objective. So if you said something after that, I don't have it.
What are your thoughts?
Let's see, the next one was
B 1.5,
the historical.
historical or historic and agricultural structures and assess incentives for rehabilitation.
I think that should be included. I know
I don't know.
the John Brown Hill. I think it would affect the view. I think it would affect
Completely.
um
Because I think from up there, you could look down and see all the panels.
even if like a storm hit and trees fell down, you can see it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Right now, you can't really see any modern
No.
anything. You can't see the highway. You can't hear the highway.
You can barely see the tower this time of the year.
It's essentially a time capsule.
What are your thoughts, Dave?
I'm having a hard time hearing, but I think you're on the right track.
So you're referring to D15, take inventory of historic and agricultural structures and assess incentives for rehabilitation. How does a commercial solar farm not support that?
I think in terms of rehabilitation, being able to see a field full of solar farms from that site would be the opposite. It would disrupt the view. It would take away from the natural beauty of the area, and
The historical value of it.
does anyone know if there's any preservation initiatives going on in the historical sites around there?
So I have objective 1, B, D15, quote, take inventory of historic and agricultural structures and assess incentives for rehabilitation. word is correcting my grammar. Um, And the statement after that, I wrote, development of commercial SECS close to existing historical sites would not support this goal by detracting from the existing landscape. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, it is. And in certain areas, not the John Brown Hill because it's elevated, but I think that sometimes that the trying to figure out this the a solar farm would change the floodplain and might risk certain environments in the historical, say the blue blob to the south of 52.
Correct. South 52. That's correct.
I know recently we had a major flood, and even just as it is, there were certain roads that were underwater for a week, week and a half. That if that were happening in a more sensitive area, it seems like it could it would have a detrimental effect to a historic site if there were a preservation effort happening, which I'm not aware of, but I don't know. That's kind of meandering. That's a concern, at very least.
We're getting pretty comprehensive. I mean, it's a good thing. Don't want to overdo it either.
Yeah, we don't, it needs to be tight, concise,
Simple.
factual, and referring back to the facts and figures that we have, which include the comprehensive plan, experience with the public.
I think we can go without the last one, but that was just a concern.
Without it completely.
No, leave in the historical, the historical preservation, and go back to that thing. Says take inventory of historical and agricultural structures and assess incentives for rehabilitation. And my whole spiel about flooding probably doesn't need to go in there because that's
Okay.
not.
What's there
I
right
can't-
now is development of commercial SECS close to existing historical sites would not support this goal by significantly altering the existing landscape.
Correct.
Yes.
I like it.
I think our list is far more extensive than what it was for Winn. I think, in my opinion, I think we covered.
What I'd like to do know you all probably want me to read it. Can I print? I'm on the Wi-Fi. I don't see a printer.
I don't know if you can connect to the NX printer or not.
Is the best thing for me to do just to email this to you real quick? I'd like for them to see my copy.
Yeah.
And then if you agree with all that, one other detail, if it's like you want it, then we can entertain motions. Included in, we need to come up with a final copy. There's going to be some tweaks, some formatting adjustments and other things, and it has to be signed. I think what would be best is to get a vote or permission from you for Darren and I to resolve any non-substantive changes offline so that we can just tweak format, make sure there's consistent wording of stuff as far as, did I say commercial SECS, commercial and utility SECS? There's stuff like that in here. Non-substantive changes that Darren and I could work out a final copy that I could sign between now when it's presented. I will need your permission for that. So, barring technical difficulties, I'm going to email this to Darren now. He can print out another copy and you guys can confirm that it is what you think it is. Webby version of Outlook is wonky. All right.
Aren't you a tech guy?
I've been using Microsoft Word since before some of you were born. I promise. And I'm looking for the little dang paperclip on here. With my reading glasses, that's the problem. I have been using it since before some of you were born. I got it. It just.
Morgan will help you out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll all laugh at you, not with you. Okay, I have an email going to Darren with this document. It still has my name on it because I'm not taking my name off of it until we have the final copy because it scares the bejeebers out of me. It's gonna say draft.
Well, thank you for taking the time to
Yes.
get started on this, because we would have been here a considerable amount longer tonight if you hadn't taken the initiative to get this thing started. So I appreciate that.
Well, I was trying to plan for contingencies. I had no idea. You're welcome. It's my honor to be of some service.
dedicated. Y'all missed Wheel of Fortune tonight. There's all kinds of things you could have been doing. Appreciate you being here.
This is the cheapest free entertainment, or this is the best free entertainment in town, right?
Oh, I think that's probably the commissioners' meetings.
You'll get a letter.
Make sure you can read his name.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I think, I don't know if I have to do this or not, but I'm going to read this and effectively read it into the record. This is a draft. We have not voted. But so that we and the public are fully aware of what we are voting on, I'm just going to read it top to bottom. Solar findings, background, timeline. Article 14 was passed by the Board of County Commissioners in its initial form, June 2023. This version included regulations for both domestic, commercial, and utility scale solar energy conversion systems, SECS. In November 2023, I need to confirm that date, several residents expressed frustration to the BCC at a perceived lack of public communication leading up to the passing of Article 14 regulations. This was precipitated by the public disclosure of several landowners signing leases with companies to develop commercial SECS. As a result of this, the BCC responded with 1, a moratorium on any CUPs for commercial SECS effective through December 2024. 2, the formation of an ad hoc committee consisting of the 9 Planning Commission committee members, 2 opponents and 2 proponents of SECS to further research the issue. Thirdly, a public forum held on March 4, 2024 to allow for public feedback. The ad hoc committee met frequently from January through April 2024 with the stated intent of reaching consensus for regulating commercial SECS. The result was a rough draft of a significantly more restrictive set of commercial SECS regulations. The public forum was held March 4, 2024. See below for more detail. On April 9, 2024, at their regular meeting, the Planning Commission accepted and passed a motion for a complete prohibition of commercial and utility scale SECS in Linn County, leaving the domestic regulations in place. On July 30, 2024, a public hearing was held to allow for a public response to the proposed Article 14 regulation change regarding a prohibition of commercial scale SECS. Findings. Comprehensive plan. The consensus of the Planning Commission was to give priority to the Linn County Comprehensive Plan, LCCP, goals and objectives of protecting and enhancing the rural agricultural character of Linn County and to preserve its natural beauty and resources. Specifically, Goal D, land use development, objectives 1 and 2 state, 1, protect and enhance rural character. The large-scale industrial development of SECS can hardly be considered an enhancement to the rural character. 2, quote, manage and minimize adverse effects of intrusive developments and land uses. Again, industrial development at the scale proposed by the currently known SECS projects would by no means, quote, minimize an intrusive development. Subpoint A, this would include concerns about subject matter experts to the potential adverse effects on the game reserve, which constitute a significant aspect of the county's rural character and economy. See LCCP, page 34, for discussion regarding the game reserve. Goal B, economic growth and prosperity, quote, supporting a strong, resilient, and diversified economy to provide opportunity for all members of the community, end quote. Objective 1, quote, encourage reinvestment in existing industrial areas, end quote. Planned SECS would create new and expansive industrial areas. Subpoint A, objective D12, page 35, quote, promote the use of conservation easements and transfer of development rights programs to preserve existing rural landscapes, end quote. Development of commercial SECS does not support this objective. Subpoint B, objective 1D15, quote, take inventory of historic and agricultural structures and assess incentives for rehabilitation, end quote. Development of commercial SECS close to existing historical sites would not support this goal by significantly altering the existing landscape. Point 2, objective 4 under goal B, economic growth and prosperity, quote, maximize the economic impact of heritage tourism and outdoor recreation, end quote. Development of commercial SECS would hinder and not support objective 4. Subpoint A, objective 4.5, quote, encourage beautification along highway corridors, end quote. The proximity of proposed SECS would include this corridor and would not be in line with this stated objective. Point 3 under goal B, economic growth and development. As a rural agricultural-based economy, removing large amounts of acreage from production contradicts the economic development intentions as outlined in the LCCP under priority themes, page 11. Point 4 under economic development. After extensive conversations between the BCC and SECS vendors regarding potential economic benefits to Linn County, the conversations were abandoned because no assurances of any economic benefit to the county could be made. The Planning Commission could not reconcile covering thousands of acres of grass and cropland with the black panels, with those goals and objectives as stated in the LCCP. Additionally, there are unknowns that cannot be quantified until after the commercial SECS is in place, when it will be too late. These unknowns are indicative of significant risk in proceeding with any commercial SECS. Bullet 1. What will the effect be on nearby state and federal waterfowl game preserves? 2. What economic benefit to the county can be guaranteed? 3. What will the effect be on property values in the area? 4. What will be the effect on the quality of life for those neighbors most affected by the industrial development? Regarding the survey, the Planning Commission is aware that the results of the solar survey as printed in the Linn County Comprehensive Plan does not seem to sync with the conclusion as we are presenting it here. This can be explained simply by the fact that much has transpired in the ensuing 2 years since the survey was taken. Inferring from the contrast of the survey with the current public response in opposition to SECS, we can only conclude that those residents previously ambivalent to SECS have educated themselves on the issue and now, should be a have in there, and now have formed a strong opinion. Planning Commission, as part of their annual review to the Linn County Comprehensive Plan in January 2025, will consider appropriate action regarding any necessary updates to the comprehensive plan to ensure that it is accurate. Public meetings. The 2 public meetings, a forum and a formal hearing, resulted in a clear message that the county citizens were not in favor of commercial SECS. A straw poll was taken at the first public forum on March 4, 2024. Of the 212 in attendance, 3.7% were in favor of SECS, less than 1% were neutral, and 96% were opposed to SECS. Of the 256 written responses, 3.1% were in favor, while 96% were opposed. At the public hearing, July 30, 2024, of the 261 written responses received, 27% were in favor of SECS and 72% were opposed. No formal count was made of the in-person attendees, but the response was heavily weighted to those opposed to SECS. Trends across the state. There are several other counties in Kansas that have arrived at similar conclusions regarding commercial SECS. The following counties have either prohibitions, open-ended moratoriums, or prohibitively restricted regulations. Butler, prohibition as part of the Flint Hills ecoregion. Coffee, moratorium through December 31, 2026. Douglas, prohibitive regulations. Franklin, prohibition. Harvey, prohibition. Johnson, prohibitive regulations. McPherson, indefinite moratorium. This information was retrieved by a URL in the document from USA Today. And lastly, Sedgwick County has prohibitive regulations. That information was received from Wichita Eagle website. The reference is in the document. Finally, recommendation. The Planning Commission recommends a review of these findings and the updated regulations by legal counsel at the BCC's earliest convenience. And finally, the Planning Commission recommends prohibition of commercial and utility scale SECS as per the attached updated regulations. So if that reflects what we all desire to have our findings to be and our recommendation to the county commissioners, and the chair would entertain a motion accordingly.
So moved.
Second.
I would ask, it's been moved and seconded that we accept this draft as our recommendations to the county commissioners. I would ask for a friendly amendment regarding finalizing the document with Darren, as I mentioned before.
So, yeah, amendment with substantive, what's the word you used?
I think I
Non-
said something fancy. I completely forgot. Getting late. We're about 30 minutes from
So what's a good word? So,
non-substantive changes
exactly.
for Darren and I to execute non-substantive changes in order to finalize the document for signing. So it's
I
been,
agree to that amendment.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that this draft be recommended to the county commissioners as our recommendations for changes to the commercial and utilities solar energy conversion system regulations, Article 14, including opportunity for Darren and I to finalize the document for signing for the county commissioners. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed with a voice vote. Yes. Eddie? Joe?
Yeah. Yes.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Morgan?
Yes.
Daniel?
Absolutely.
Aye.
And the chair votes in affirmative. Aye. It is unanimous. We will send this to the commissioners.
Would it do any good to sign this before you make your small changes? Or do you want to wait?
I think we're fine. That was part of the resolution, and that's why we made the resolution. That just saves all of us the time of screwing around with Microsoft Word, trying to get it to do what we want, putting the lines in to sign on and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And it just gives Darren and I the liberty to do that. Is there any other business? I appreciate all your patience. I appreciate all your input. I appreciate everyone's time. This is I'm calling this an 18-month exercise. And we are volunteers. We have jobs and other things. And so I very much appreciate everyone's dedication to doing this. With that, this meeting is adjourned. What? So, yeah, I know what they're.
Hey, you did a great job. You did. You got work. Wonderful. Very well. Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
I've learned my lesson.
Sing us a tune there, Derek.
Oh, no.